Okay,
we're here at the Farnborough Air Show with Mark Pearman Wright from Airbus, and we'd like to talk a bit about economics of the aircraft. Yesterday, Boeing, in talking about the A330neo, suggested that their existing 787s were 30% better than today's product, and that with a 14% reduction, they would still be 16% better. What's your reaction to those statements?
I think my reaction is incredulity. Since the launch of the A350 XWB in December 2006, Airbus has doubled its A330 order book. We have, I think that's over 700, an increase of over 700 orders, and in that time Boeing has sold 600 787s. We would not have done so if those numbers were anything close to being substantiable. Boeing came out with a 787 and they said the aircraft was 20% better. It was 20% better than the 767. We all know the A330 is a lot better than the 767. So the benchmarking is different. We were talking earlier, you wanted to know about some of the economics of how the A330neo, the A330-800neo and the A330-900neo, it will burn the same cost as a 787 per trip, just about, probably, and better per seat. The A330s are slightly larger than the 787s, either the Dash 8 or the Dash
9. So those numbers, I can see why you're treating those with incredulity.
Okay. We have a 12% increase. So let's, instead of positioning it Airbus versus Boeing, who says what? Yeah. Airbus versus Airbus. An A330 only, 300 today, and we will improve that with an A330-900, which is the re-engined of the A330-300, and we will improve our fuel burn by 12%. So that's a fact, 12% per trip. Same with the 800, 12% per trip. We are improving the cabin layout. And in improving the cabin layout, we can get up to an additional 10 seats. If we get 10 seats, that's an additional 3%. We think with a typical airline layout, we get about 2% more seats. So we have an improvement relative to A330 today, relative to an A330neo, an improvement of 12% per trip, but that is really 14% per seat for the airlines. So that's a very exciting aircraft.
That's going to be interesting, and of course the price points, given the development cost differential, John would have the ability to discount that airplane if he felt necessary in the market, and it could be a very, very, very attractive competitor.
Steve Hazy at the press conference this morning where ALC announced 25 A330neos, he said there are 3 factors that an airline has to consider: the cost of fuel, the cost of the capital expenditure, and the cost of labour. An A330neo will take care of those first 2.
That's quite interesting. How about the A350 program? Does the A330neo cannibalize at all the A350 program, and what about A350-800?
No, it's very clear. We can draw you a diagram of range and payload. In every case where we've got an A350 will offer more payload or more range. We would typically have a 330-900neo will fly 4,000 nautical miles and 20 or 30 tons of payload. If you want to go further than that, and you want to carry payload, then you want to buy an A350-900. It's a bigger aircraft, and it'll go further. You could translate that as to more passengers or more cargo. A350-1000 is a substantially much bigger, larger aircraft, and a 350-800, again, is a much longer range aircraft. So we have one 350, basically very head-on with the whole 777 program, it takes it to the next generation. And we have the 330s for as the entry-level wide body, and particularly where it is undisputed leader, I think, as you know very well, is the regional markets. So we've got a very flexible aircraft, but we're going to certainly be the undisputed leader of that shorter haul, regional, flexible twin-arm.
Well, it's certainly interesting seeing it launched with leasing companies, because leasing companies typically don't buy airplanes until they see a market for them. So there clearly must be a market demand behind the A330neo, which makes it quite interesting. Thank you very much for the update on the airplanes.
It's my pleasure.